be empowered, engaged intellectually, just be inspired, embrace some positivity, chilling for you, approaching it deductively, money and power and more mind with Coach T. Food for your mind, food for your body and soul. Money and power and more mind with Coach T.
Welcome to Empowering Moments with Coach T, and I am your host, Toria Renee, aka Coach T, and this is where I try to give you guys information that is valuable to you now and for years to come, right here on IntellectualRadio.com. So, welcome to our last Sisters Speak segment of the year. And this is where we gear the conversation to all things women. And we try to make sure that we are giving or speaking to all of the challenges that women face on a daily basis. And the whole point is to make sure that they are empowered so that they are able to move forward and be the best version of themselves every day. So today's topic is the breaking point. And I will have with me today in the studio, I got a co-host, y'all. She is no stranger to the mic, as she is a fellow radio personality and host of Warriors Talk, which airs on Mondays at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time right here on IntellectualRadio.com. She is also an author and founder of Warriors Talk, where she works diligently to empower individuals into action for a healthier lifestyle. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, Lady Rochelle.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. You know what? Just a quick accolade and shout out to Lady Rochelle. Let me tell y'all something. Originally, I had booked another speaker to co-host with me for this segment, but she was not able to do so because she had a family emergency. When I tell you I was scrambling at 9:30 p.m., okay? And I'm trying to figure out who is going to cover this spot. And I communicated with Lady Rochelle, and she was just like, she's no hesitation. She didn't ask me no questions. She said simply, yes, I can be there. I was like, come on. Let me tell you, you are a lifesaver. I appreciate you. And that is a testament to just the woman that she is. And I so appreciate you. So thank you so much for coming out and doing this for me today. All right. So we're going to get right on into it because this is a conversation I've been waiting to have for a long time. Okay. So to begin the conversation, let's just start with a definition of what a breaking point really, really is. So the breaking point is the moment of greatest strain at which someone or something gives way. The time when a person can no longer accept or deal with a situation because of too much pressure or stress. The stage at which your control over yourself or a situation is lost. So these are all definitions of what it means to be at a breaking point. So if you or someone you know is at this point, I want you to do me a favor. Tell them to share this live with them so they can tune in and get what they need so that they are going to be able to move forward, break out and move forward. Because I got to tell you, between me and Lady Rochelle, we're about to be dropping some gems. Okay, y'all ready? Y'all ready? Y'all ready? Let's get to it. So I feel like we have these breaking points at different times in our lives, right? And it's in all different type of areas, right? So I'm gonna look at this one. We're gonna start with career and entrepreneurship because I know for me, I have had several breaking points in my career and my entrepreneurship, and I was just like, ooh, what is really going on here? So let's talk about the expectation of a workload, and that's on both sides, right? The career woman, if you're in career, if you're in business, or if you're in corporate, if you work for a company, or if you work for yourself, there is an expectation of a workload that can stress you out and break you down. What does that really look like?
I think it's a unrealistic expectation of the workload because sometimes we take on more than what we can handle and we don't say anything. We don't set boundaries on, okay, I can't handle this. I'm already overworked or just even organizing. Sometimes we don't organize and it causes us to be overwhelmed. Sometimes we procrastinate and it causes us to be overwhelmed. And so you have to step back, be still, and assess the situation. At work right now, with me, it's three of us that do the same work, and all of us are saying we're overworked. But management just keep loading us with work. They don't say, "Oh, okay, well, let me put this to the side until you finish that." No, it's expected that we do whatever they put in front of us.
I think now, see what I hear you saying is number one, we don't ask for help. In some of these situations, we don't ask for help, and it's very important for us to learn when we have hit capacity, right? Um, when you are an entrepreneur, it is easier for you to say, "Hey, I've hit capacity, and so now let's scale back and figure out what we're going to do next." Not so much when you actually work for someone because the expectation still remains. Then it becomes your responsibility to yourself to figure out how you're going to prioritize the workload that you have to ensure that you are not pushing yourself past this breaking point where you're going to need some type of mental, you know, help, right? Because I think that's and maybe this mental help is the answer. Maybe in order to manage all of this stuff that's going on means EAP is for you. We sometimes I feel like we're not sure or don't really use all of the resources that are available to us. So we are at work every day going being stressed out. They is driving us nuts. Yet they have EAP that we don't use, won't use.
That's funny because
I'm just saying.
because one year I did use the EAP. I had a supervisor that was stressing me out. He was micromanaging me. Like every little thing I did, he was like doing this whole write up, and I was just so stressed. I ended up using it, and I've been at this job for 20 years and never used it before. I used it and I called and I had like a couple of sessions and I was talking to this guy and just for me being able to get it out and to say what it was I was going through, I was stressed about, it helped to unload me. And I felt kind of better to like, okay, I got that out. Now I can go to another day.
And I think that's the key, unloading yourself, unburdening yourself. Because when you hold things inside, they take root in a way that is never healthy, right? It's always, eh, I feel a type of way, and you never really get resolved on that feeling. At least if you can talk it all out, get it all out there in the open, at some point you can resolve in your mind. You say, you know what? Okay, now that I got that all out, you know what? They're right. I could do da 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 da. Or maybe, you know what? They made a really, really good point. Let me try this. And sometimes it's not so much someone telling you what to do, but it's someone letting you get all of the pieces out on the table. So then you can clearly see what to do. Right? Because we talk about therapists and life coach and all this, and people say, well, they don't do nothing but just ask you a whole bunch of questions, and then you figure out this stuff yourself. But let's be clear: you pay them to ask the questions that you don't think about. That's what you're paying for. You're paying them to ask you the questions that you didn't think to ask yourself. So if you never figure out to ask yourself these questions, these are answers you will never come up with, right? So in a way, you're not paying for nothing. You're paying for them to be the outside voice that asks you these questions that you didn't think about because you are in it. Now you can think about these very same questions for someone else, but that's because you're removed. That's all you're doing is paying the once removed person to ask you these questions that you know that you can't think about because your mind is all jumbled.
That's true. A lot of times when you're at this breaking point, you don't think clearly, right? You're upset and you want to go off, and you could think of all these things that you could do to that person in that moment. And the key is to step away from the situation, like you said, to step away and to assess it and get somebody else to look at it. Because once you do that, you're like, oh, I could have went off on that person. I probably would have been fired. Like sometimes you just have to be still and sit back and be like, okay, what is my part in all of this? Like my boss is stressing, maybe because I'm coming in late, so I'm not getting all my work done because the 15 minutes I came in late, I could have got some work done. But now you stressing, trying to hurry up, and the boss is bothering you. Excuse me. It's like stuff that, what can you do? What can you control in this situation? And handle that. And the things that you can't control, allow it to work itself out.
So now I hear accountability. There's an accountability piece. So you can't blame it on the rest of the world all the time. Oh, it's somebody else's fault. Oh, that's it. Get somebody else to do it. No, 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 no. That was for you. That was your task. I mean, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. There's a few things you can get somebody else to do, but some of these things that relate to you and how you're going to process information and how you're going to utilize information and resources is on you, right? And that goes to the unfair treatment when you have a superior that is treating you unfairly. So in your case, you're saying, y'all giving me all this work and you ain't taking consideration that I already got this workload. Hello, ding, 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 ding. So how do you then make them understand? Well, sometimes I hate to be the bearer of bad news. You're not going to make them understand because they got a mandate. Because just like you, that's just like they on you, somebody on them.
That's true. And that's when you have to speak up for yourself. It's about self-care. And whenever you're feeling like you're overloaded, you at that point of breakout or that breaking point, a lot of times you have to step back. So you may take a mental health day. You may call in and be like, I'm not going in today. I'm taking a mental health day because if I go in, I may do or say the wrong thing. So let me just reset myself. And sometimes that's all you need to do is to think about self-care first. And once you take care of self, then everything else will fall into place because you're not going to allow little things to bother you. You're going to prioritize so that you're not rushing, you're not stressing, and little things that your boss may say to you, you may be like, okay. And and not let it bother you or stress you out, mess up your day. And now you really can't focus or get anything done. You got attitude. Well, I ain't doing that. I'm gonna sit in here on Facebook all day.
Okay,
so
that's how you're gonna get fired.
Right. So
if they say one more thing to you, she better not say nothing to me today because if she do, I'm cussing her clean, smooth out. Look, let me tell y'all something about me. I have been on these jobs long enough to know, and I know me very, very well. And one of the things that I have really learned about me is that if I already have an attitude, this ain't the day to go to work. And so I believe in the self-care days. Y'all call them what you want. Y'all can call it ditching work. Y'all can call, look, y'all managers out here be falling out, be like, I know they not sick. Don't worry about it, okay? Because trust me, you want them to stay at home today. You want them to stay at home today, okay? So don't try to figure out why they not coming in. If they say they sick, stop asking so many questions. First of all, it ain't none of your business. Let's just make that clear. I work in HR. It ain't none of your business. You don't have the right to ask these people what is wrong with them. That's none of your business. When they call in and say they sick, the next words out your mouth should not be, well, what's wrong? None of your business.
That's going to stress you out even more, especially if you feel like, oh God, I got to lie.
Now I got to lie.
Yes. My job, we could text. I could text you 30 minutes before my shift and say, I'm not coming in.
Period.
And because I'm in the union, we have it set up to where we don't have to explain none of that. And they cannot ask why. Now, if you're cool with your supervisor, then you may say, they may be like, is everything okay going on? I noticed, you called off a couple of days this month. What's going on? But you don't have to say anything. You could just call off. I could text her and say, yep, I'm not going to be in the office today. And she'd be like, okay, see you tomorrow.
Exactly. Because that's my new words. I tell everybody, I'm like, hey, I'm not getting ready to give you an explanation because when people stress me out at work, I understand that means if we're at the point where you're stressing me out, then I understand that means I need to take a break because normally I'm not moved, right? So if I'm being moved, then that means it's time to go. I want to move on to bullying because bullying is a thing, and it's not just a thing for adults. It's a thing for, let me say this, it's not just a thing for kids. It's a thing for adults. There is a such thing as bullying people at work. There's a such thing as bullying people in your social groups that you are your friend group. There's a such thing. There is one person that can be bullying everybody in the group. It's possible.
That's true. And I tend to you have to learn how to say again, speak up for yourself. And with the friend group, the social group, you got to learn how to say no. So if you're in these situations to where that person is going to be there and you don't want to deal with that person, learn how to say no, and you don't have to explain why you don't want to go. When it comes to work, like I had that one supervisor, he was bullying me. He would, when I would come in the morning to make sure to see what time I got there, he would be like standing outside of my office, and it would be so stressful for me because then I'd be like, "Dang, I gotta really make sure I'm here on time because he's gonna be outside of my office." And we ended up having meetings with his boss, and he had like every little detail that he can think of that I was doing. And I felt like it was bullying because it stressed me out. Like my whole day was stressed out. And that's why I ended up talking to EAP, is because it's like, it's stressful for me to come to work. And I mentioned that to his boss, and she kind of like understood what was going on. So she didn't really take sides. She allowed the meeting to be what it was, but I didn't get punished or wrote up because of it, because she kind of saw what he was doing. It became a pattern because other people started complaining about this bully at work. So speak up for yourself when you feel like you've been, and it's a way to speak up for yourself. You have HR. So if something is going on that should not be going on, follow the chain of command to report it so that you can have a peace of mind while you're at work. And that person knows what boundaries they have to stay within a boundary. If you cross this boundary, then this is going to happen. And not that you're going to be like a little tattletale at work, but man, protect your peace.
So that is really, really true. And I think people don't use the resources that's available to them, and they're afraid to speak up because they think they're going to be punished more for it.
Retaliation.
Right. So coming from the HR aspect, from the HR perspective, I just need to let you guys know that if you are experiencing these things at work, you need to let your HR department know. Open up a claim. Make a complaint. Don't be afraid to say your name. Okay, because we have this thing where I want to be no, say your name. Okay, yes, it was me. It happened to me. Because let me tell you something. When you open up this claim, what the HR department is now required to fully investigate. And if they're like me, I investigate to the fullest. I call everybody and their mama. I ask questions. I will talk to a whole department full of people to get what the lowdown is. If one person is being bullied, I guarantee you it's not just one. It's a couple, and I'm going to find out who. Because all I need is for at least one other person to say this didn't happen to them. And guess what's about to happen to the bullier? They're about to get, one or two things is going to happen. Either you're going to get written up, or if I think what you have done, if I feel like what you have done is really, really severe, you're probably going to get fired. People at work, let me tell you something, HR usually does not play about these things. You know why? Because we are tasked with mitigating risk in terms of being sued, lawsuits, EEOC. We don't want it. Legal don't ever want it. So we go to the ends of the earth to make sure that this is not happening. If that means getting rid of someone to make sure that the environment is safe, we have to do that because that is a part of our charge. We are not, y'all like to think that all the HR does is just really, really listen to everybody talking, tell them to listen to everybody's problems and hire and fire people. That's not all we do. We do make sure that the environment for you is safe. And so if you are having this problem, definitely utilize your HR department. If it is your supervisor that is doing it, don't go to your supervisor. Go straight to your HR department. They love to tell you, follow the chain of command. Have a talk with. Sometimes these personal talks they want you to have, lies. Don't even do it. Because see, I'm just saying, if you have an issue with your boss and it's really, really for real, then talking to them ain't gonna help. Because you nobody. That's why they did it to you. That's they think that. So they already think you're nobody. That's why they did it to you. So if you want some results, you have to go to HR, because HR is the person that is able to speak to them and say, hey, that ain't going to fly. Don't do it again. Because you can't tell them that.
Right. And this particular supervisor, eventually they was getting all these complaints, and now he's not supervising people.
Bingo. See, only HR can do that. You can't. So that's why you need to be talking to HR. As we prepare for the next segment in this discussion, I want to let you guys know that I am hosting a mindset transformation workshop, and it is entitled Reset Your Mind Crush 2024. And that's going to be held on Saturday, November 11th, 2023. Okay, I know we're ways out. I get it. We're ways out, but we are in pre-sale mode. So that means that you get to get your ticket for at a $15 discount. So you definitely want to make sure you click in the link and register. That link, if you are watching on Facebook Live, the link is in the description. If you're going to be watching it later on YouTube, it will be in the description. It might be flashing on your screen in YouTube right now, the flyer. But make sure you register. You do not want to miss this. There will be a continental breakfast. There will be a gourmet lunchbox. There will be a vendor exhibit hall, and you get to have your very own participant workbook. But the best bonus part of this is that there will be a crossover ceremony where you get to seal all the work that you'll have done. And so that you'll make sure that you got your mind right for 2024. So make sure you click in that link and register today. All right. So let's go a little bit further in this discussion right here on IntellectualRadio.com. We are talking about the breaking point with my co-host, none other than the wonderful, lovely lady, Rochelle. And we're going to be talking about the associations and affiliations. This is these social groups and these friend groups and these networking groups and these memberships that we have. All these wonderful people. This is one part of the ship, y'all, because we're going to get to the other ship later. But what does that look like when you're in these groups? Because the breaking point is different in these groups. Because again, we're dealing with the expectation that they have. Okay, so you are now a member, and so as a member, you're required to do dot. And that requires your time and your money, right? Because that's what it comes down to, right? I want your time and your money. We can't pick and choose which one. I want both. What?
Yes, I was a part of New World MC Club. So I was a part of the social club portion of it. In fact, I was the president of the ladies. And when I tell you that they took up a lot of my time. So I would go to work, get off, we would have meetings, and then we would have to go and support other social clubs, other MC clubs, so that when we have something, they would come back to us. So just about every night of the week, I was at some club supporting them to get them to come back to us. So I would go home, feed my kids, help them with homework, and I would put them to bed, and then I would go. So this was every night, like by 9 o'clock, I'm out. I'm coming in about maybe 2, 3 in the morning. I'm up doing the same thing over and over. It was just so much for me. I felt like, and then by me being the president, if other people couldn't go, if other women couldn't go, then guess who was going? I had to always go. And then sometimes people did, so funny. Sometimes people didn't have money to get in the places. Guess who had to pay? I had to pay for them to get in the place. So it was so demanding on me, and the expectation of, by you being the president of these ladies, you have to be there. I have to drag people, bribe them to go out with me. And eventually I decided what actually happened. I ended up being diagnosed with cancer. And I said, you know what? I have to choose. Do I want to keep running for these people, or do I want to take a step back and take care of myself? I took a step back and decided to take care of myself. And you know what my kids told me? They said, once all of that happened and I was actually at home, they was like, we didn't even know who you were, because you would just come home, feed them, help them with the homework, and go. I didn't have a relationship with them, because my relationship was with the club.
That is key that you say this, because you allowed this club to like run your life for you in a way, right?
They did.
Find a way. It's amazing, but it is amazing. God is interesting. He said, oh,
no, you won't.
I'm gonna put this whole thing to a stop. I'm gonna stop this right now, because what we're gonna do is we're gonna make you remember what your priorities are, because that's what happened. Bet you don't have that problem today.
I do not.
See, he is. Let me tell you something. I always say this. Nobody can teach a lesson like the Lord.
Thou shalt have no other God before me.
Nobody can teach a lesson like the Lord. I'm telling you, you trying to figure out what to do. promise you, he will teach you a lesson. I think that's why I'm so good at it, y'all. I'm his child. I promise you, I'm good at teaching lessons. But nobody can teach a lesson like him because basically he's saying, okay, you didn't figure out what your priorities are. And I said that to say this. A lot of times we forget what our priorities are in these different groups that we put so much of our time and our life and ourselves into. So here's the question. How much is too much of you to be giving? How much is too much? When do you know that you're giving too much?
For me, it was not having that time with my kids, that quality time with my kids, not really doing anything for myself. It was about the club. Okay, the club needs me. The club. Okay, I got to go here. I got to go there. I really wasn't doing anything for myself. I was, you know how you on call for a job. Whenever they call you, go. I was really like on call for them. And, it got to a point that I hope they're not listening either, because they would like bribe me. Like once we had to go to Vegas and I'm like, yeah, I ain't got the money to go to Vegas. So I can't go. They paid for my trip to Vegas. They paid for my hotel. They gave me spending money. So I had no excuses. So I'm like, I gotta go. So you have to really, when I say take a step back and be still and assess the situation before it even gets to that point. And when you get to that point to where you feel like you can't say no, I felt like I couldn't say no. So whenever I had to go, whenever there was a club or whoever was having something and the ladies had to be there, I was there because I felt that was my priority. And my breaking point was that cancer diagnosis for me, which it should have been before that. It should have been way before that. Like, these people, and they were good people, but it's like, at what point do you I had no time for God because I wasn't prioritizing God. I wasn't prioritizing my kids and I wasn't prioritizing myself because I was running.
And I like this key that you say, because you probably felt it before.
You do.
You feel it before. And so what I'm saying is, when you feel it, the first time you feel it, the first time you get the thought, you know what? I am doing way too much and I ain't got time to think about what I'm doing for myself. I'm missing appointments. You know what I mean? I ain't spent no time with my kids. I ain't spent no time with my husband. God forbid he might be cheating out here right now. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I got to go. I got to go home, right? I mean, I'm not just, and I'm being facetious, but at the same time, that is something to be considered, because if you have a family, you have a husband, you have children, you have to make time and space for them. What other reason? If you're not gonna make time and space for them, then why you have them?
That's true. And at that time, I was married, and my husband was looking at me like, hello, you going again? I'm like, I gotta go. And I would always like invite him to come. Like, you could come so you can see what's going on. He like, no, I ain't got time to be about those people. They not running me. Like,
because he ain't finna get, because he made it very clear. I'm not finna get ready to get started with this. Okay, no. They run you, but they not finna run me. I ain't finna be a part of the clan. Somebody got to stay home with the kids.
So that should have been my first. That should have been my first trigger, or my first, hey, something's not right. Like, you are going to mess up your home out here running, trying to satisfy these people, like, no, get somebody else to do it.
But as women, we sometimes equate that to, oh, you just don't want me to do nothing.
Yes.
Oh, you just want me sitting at home with you because you want,
yes.
This is my time. I need my me time. Me. I'm like, hey, and he like, hello. All right. And your me time, it's going to be a problem, because if we don't get some we time in here, that's going to be a problem. One of the things I watched is I was watching, and y'all know me, I watch Ratchet TV. I love Ratchet TV. So I watched Married to Medicine, and I watched Dr. Jackie and Curtis go through this whole thing for like 3 seasons. Just so y'all know, 3 seasons is 3 years. Okay. And it had to be about good 3 to 4 seasons, right? That they're going through this thing. He retired. Now he would like for her to cut back a little bit, spend more time, because they plan was to travel the world, blah, 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 blah. She's going, oh, well, my business is taking off, and my practice is taking off. I'm the girl now, right? I'm the woman. I'm the gynecologist to the stars. I'm running around here delivering babies for Tamar Braxton. Okay, I'm somebody now. The stars want me, right? Which I got, and he got too. And he was ready to make that concession. Okay, cool. I get it. I understand that wasn't a part of the plan, but now that it's here, let's do it. Let's deal with it. But can you cut back a little bit though? And her, well, no, 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 no. Okay, okay, okay. Maybe, maybe, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Then it was, okay, well, I'm trying to cut back. And so I'm going to chart in bed with him. Excuse me, ma'am. I don't want you charting while we in the bed. I'm sorry. That's not the goal. That ain't spending time. Well, I was sitting right next to you. We was watching the movie together. No, I was watching the movie. You were charting. That's something different. We weren't watching the movie together because your attention span, your attention was not on the movie. It was on your charting, which means it wasn't on me either. And I don't know how y'all else supposed to get anything going on with you charting in the bed, okay? I'm like, this is what got me. I was like, girl, y'all making this real hard. You making it hard. Why come, since you're going to be up all night charting anyway, why not go ahead on and spend this quality time with this man, put him to sleep? That would be your best bet. Then you got the rest of the night to be charting and nobody would know.
That makes sense, but
But that's that's too much like, right.
Right.
Because you controlling me and I'm not going to let you dictate my time. You the one asking me. You the one saying yes to a proposal.
What about these vows?
What about these vows? Okay, but it was so funny. But what got me is he cheated. So what otherwise would have been a valid complaint that he had gets thrown out the window because he cheated, and the whole world is, oh, Curtis is gum, and I'm going, I don't know about that. I kind of have a different thought process. I'm not saying that it is her fault that he cheated. What I am saying is there's some level of little bit of accountability that she gonna have to be taken around here, because we watched him beg you for 3 years to be more available to him, and you decided that's not what you wanted to do for whatever reason that it was. Now, I ain't in y'all life. I'm pretty sure there's some other stuff going on, but at the same time, what it looks like is you don't care. And he said, oh, you don't care? Let me go do let me go do me. And so to a degree, you have to say, yes, he was wrong for cheating, but you also wrong for neglecting him. You watch this, you kind of contribute, you watch this go down in smoke a little bit. Then now you want to act like, oh my God, I'm the victim. I don't know if you're the victim. I think y'all both the victim of ill communication in your marriage. I said that to say, I think a lot of times in these relationships and whatever ships we're in, we don't give the adequate attention that is deserved. And in some cases, we don't give half of the attention that's desired, because there are some instances where the desire of the other person ought to be priority to you.
It should be. Well, I think we tend to love people how we want to be loved versus how they want to be loved. So if you're a person that quality time is at the bottom of your love language list, then you feel like, why did that person need all this time? Like, we was just together, but it's not about us being together. Like, they was in the bed and she was working. She figured like, oh, we're in the bed together, we're here. No. But it wasn't quality time. Right. Like, it's quantity because
he can't talk to you.
Right. Like, you're not giving me your full attention. Right. So I think a lot of times when it comes to that, we're kind of selfish, and we expect people to read our minds when it comes to what we need and what we want, versus voicing our opinion in a healthy way and meeting each other in the middle, compromising and saying, okay, understand that you have this heavy workload, and where do we fit in all of this so that both of us can, get our intimate time and balance this out, and neither one of us are being stressed and pulling and begging the other person for time.
So yes, exactly. I think, and that takes us right into our next segment, when we start talking about all of these ships for real, these relationships, these friendships, these situationships, because I guess they count around here.
It's a ship.
it's still a ship, right? Really quickly, remember to register for My Mindset Transformation Workshop, Reset Your Mind Crush 2024. The link is in the description. Make sure that you are getting your ticket at a discount, because the prices will go up soon. So I want to make sure that you are doing that. All right. Let's get into it. Carrie Hilson said, every woman got a breaking point. I'm going to say, everybody got a breaking point. Women, men, children, dogs, cats, and everybody got a breaking point. Okay? Everybody has a breaking point. And if that's the case, because I'm promising you, I got some friendships and I have some ships that will drain my very soul if I let it.
You have to prioritize again. When you prioritize these people, everybody should have, even your children, your husband, yourself, have they play a role in your life, but they should have their time, their slot. Okay, you give your friends that time. You need that time to be with your friends, your girlfriends, you hang out. Okay, at a point, I gotta go home. I gotta go home. I have a man, I got kids to take care of. I cannot be out here, especially if they're single and they just want to hang out. No, I'm married now. So we can go out to eat, to brunch, we can go to dinner, but I gotta go home. I can't be in these streets with you. So you have to learn how to make people respect your relationships, respect your boundaries, and not put you in situations to where I'm making my husband feel a certain way because I'm here. Like, don't put me in that situation.
Okay, so let's just make this clear. Single girlfriends with married girlfriends, I'm gonna need y'all to know already in the door they can't stay out with y'all. They can't. I'm just telling you right now, because I think the transition makes them feel a type of way, right? The transition. Oh, you choosing him over me, or you did it? No, hold up. Well, calm down. Calm down. I'm supposed to be choosing him over you. Let's just be clear. That's my husband. Okay. So, and it's really weird because guys don't have the same issue. Guys can get married and they hang out with their friends when they hang out. Don't nobody be falling out because they can't hang out. Now, yeah, you get the original, the occasional, oh, you whipped, da 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 da. That is a joke, right? Because 9 times out of 10, they wish they was whipped too. Okay, let's be clear. What's funny to me is that single women want to be married, but they get mad at married people because married people can't stay out with them all night. It's really, really weird to me. But I think it goes to a level of selfishness. And I think you have to break people out of this level of this selfishness with you. I think setting boundaries is key. I talk about setting boundaries all the time. You have to reintroduce yourself to people. When you make changes or you make adjustments in your life, you have to now reintroduce people to who that new person is. I tell people all the time, if you think you knew me last year, you need a reintroduction because I am not her. Some of the stuff you was expecting in her don't live here no more. So I can't partake, right? So I don't have a problem reintroducing myself to you. I don't care if you've known me 20 years. Today, if we ain't talked in a while, I need to reintroduce myself because you don't know me.
People will keep reminding you of the person that you was, right? And then when you are elevating or you're growing, then they'll say you're acting funny. But the people that love you, they'll understand and they'll give you that space to grow. They'll come back, they'll give you that grace to grow, and then they'll know when you do come back together, of course you can pick up from where you left off, but guess what? I'm moving differently, and you should respect that I'm moving differently. Not that I'm better than anybody else, but I'm moving away. If I marry a way that a wife should move, a way that a mother should move, and if someone who loves you should respect that.
Absolutely. I think that, and I think it goes to us wanting to be accepted, us wanting to be loved, us wanting to have friendships and camaraderie and the support system. And you never really want to lose that. And I gotta tell you, you run the risk of losing it when you make changes, right? And unfortunately, there are going to be some people that you're going to lose. It's just the way the cookie crumbles. You're going to lose people, right? Or and sometimes you don't lose the person 100%. You lose them in a way. There's a level to which you lose them. And it's okay. It's okay because all that is purging. That's restructuring for what's better for you, right? You can't have better if you're going to keep surrounding yourself with people that don't want better.
That's
or
true.
aren't thinking about having better or aren't living better. If you're trying to live better, you should hang with people that's trying to live better. If you no longer want to be a smoker, you probably shouldn't hang out with people that smoke. If you no longer want to be a drinker, you probably shouldn't hang out with people that drink all the time. I'm not, and look, to each his own. If you want to be a drinker and smoker, whatever it is you want to be doing, go right ahead and do it. God bless your ministry. God bless your soul. If that's what you want, until you come into whatever newness he wants you to come into, right? I cannot always infiltrate that. But what I can do is make sure I set my boundaries about what I want in my circle, who I want in my circle. I want to talk a little bit about the expectations and how they change from one ship to the next, right? Because in friendships, it's one expectation. When you have a significant other, there's a different expectation. When you move into this life partner world, then there's a different set of expectations. I am of the school of thought that it is important to communicate those expectations at those different levels. Because if you don't, then people don't know where they're staying. What do you think?
I think it's true. So I mean, so there was a situation to where I dated this guy when I was younger, and the way that we would handle things would be in an immature way, right? We get an attitude, won't talk to each other. Well, I ain't gonna call him if he ain't gonna call me, and and so you operate like that. So then we started dating when we got a little older, and so the way that we approach things is different. It's like, oh no, we're not gonna have this where we're not communicating. Like, we're going to communicate regardless of the situation. We're going to talk it out and find a way to work through whatever we need to work through. So you have to tell people. I always say you teach people how to treat you by what you do, what you accept, what you don't accept. And so never be afraid to say, okay, what with him, what I accepted when I was younger is not, I'm a totally different person right now. So these are the things that I accept. And you don't have to say it in a confrontational way to make that person feel like, oh, she's putting demands on me or she making me feel this way. No, you just have conversation, communicate with people. And if you're always communicating with your person, then they're going to understand how you feel. They're going to know not to cross these boundaries. They're going to know, okay, when she wakes up in the morning, she likes this 15 minutes to herself. So I'm not going to bother her for these 15 minutes. Allow her to have this time to herself so that when, I approach her and she says she's in a good mood. When he comes home, he may not want the kids to rush him right away. Give him 15 minutes to himself. And then, okay, kids, y'all go reach your dad. Like and it's not setting expectations or boundaries in a bad way. It's protecting yourself. In order for me to be loving, to be kind, I have to be able to rejuvenate myself, to refill myself. And sometimes that looks like me stepping away to have a quiet moment. And you have to communicate with people. Stop expecting people to read your mind, to know how you feel. Just put it out there on the table. And, stop. If you a grown up, start operating in a relationship like you're a grown up.
Absolutely. And hey, stop expecting you and everybody else. That's the one lesson I had to learn.
Love that.
Everybody ain't finna be you. Stop expecting you to show up in everybody else. They not you, you not them. That's why I'm just saying. You're not dating a clone of yourself. You're not friends with a clone of yourself. You lies. You lie and say you would like to until you challenges you. Okay. You be like, wait a minute. That's a problem. Right. But I think that sometimes I used to expect the person to be me. How come you can't do it this way? Or how come you can't think this way? Or how come you don't realize it this way? Or, but I'm not you and you not me. That's why you like me, because I'm not you. Right. Because, I mean, you don't want someone who is just like you doesn't really teach you anything. Because y'all doing it. Well, it might teach you who you are. You might see yourself in a reflection in the mirror for real. But I think that we need to learn to stop trying to make people be something that they're not, and accept them where they are and let them be who they are. And either it works for us or it doesn't. Right. And if I have an expectation of you as my boyfriend, let's just be clear. My expectation of you as my boyfriend is probably a little different than my expectation of you as my husband. But I need to communicate that to you when the transition happens. Hey, we're talking about getting married. Let me just, so you know, I'm going to expect da 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 da, right? And he going to have I expect the da 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 too. I think where we have a problem is with this communication piece. Communication plays a big part in these breaking points that we be coming to. Because 9 times out of 10, the reason that we've come to the breaking point is because we haven't said anything yet. Yes. It's building up and we haven't said anything. If you say something, the pressure will come down, right? That's why you talk to EAP, so you can get the pressure to come down.
Think about a rubber band. a rubber band is meant to stretch, right? So you can stretch that rubber band, your mother, your wife, you work, you're an entrepreneur, you hanging out with your friends, and you're being stretched in so many different angles because the rubber band is meant to be stretched. But think about once the rubber band gets to its capacity of that stretch, what does it do? It snaps. And how do that rubber band get back to his shape? Sometimes the rubber band cannot get back to his shape. Sometimes you have to move and operate in a totally different way so that you can stretch the rubber band, but don't break the rubber band. Your breaking point can be your breakthrough, but it just depends on what you do when you get to that breaking point.
I like that. Your breaking points can be your breakthrough depending on what you do when you get to the breaking point. So in order for your breaking point to be your breakthrough, that means that you have to, right before it snaps, you have to release it.
Right? You got to know your triggers.
You got to release it. You got to release the whole thing. Like, okay, you know what? I'm going to step back and let it be, because then it will conform to what it should be. It's all like it's this prayer of serenity we pray, help me to accept the things I cannot change and to change the things that I can, It's that. But it's that rubber band. It's like, okay, you know what? Instead of waiting for it to snap, let me just stop stretching it right now. That's the better thing to do. Let me stop stretching it. How about let me just place it on the table and sit it down somewhere so I can get it, so we can all refresh, regroup, reconvene, revisit, re-strategize, get new strategy, get new tools, get new resources. That's what it is about. Let me figure out how the best way is for me to communicate this thing to you so that we can remain on the same page, right? Lady Rochelle, talk to me about what you got coming up.
Oh, wow. So coming up with Warriors Talk, we're having our 7th annual Survivors Reflection Gala that's taking place on October the 28th from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. at the Crystal Sky Banquet Hall. And the event it's a survivor celebration. We're having a fashion show. It's free for all cancer survivors. You don't have to pay anything. And so we're asking that you come out and support the survivors and celebrate. We have honorees that we're going to be celebrating that night. Every survivor walks away with an award. They get to have a night's brunch. I create a swag bag for them. They get to share a little bit of their journey that night. And then we award a warrior. Last year, we did 2 warriors with $500 each. Just individuals who are going through that needs a little financial help to bridge the gap while they are fighting cancer. So come out and celebrate with us on October 28th. You can go to warriorstalk.org for more information.
Awesome. And remember to tune in to Warriors Talk on Mondays at 6 p.m. right here on IntellectualRadio.com. Remember to register for Reset Your Mind and Crush 2024, my Mindset Transformation Workshop. Thank you so much for joining us today right here on Empowering Moments with Coach T on IntellectualRadio.com. This has been Empowering Moments with Coach T, and I am the Coach T. Remember to always just be you. We'll see you next time.
You'll be empowered, engaged intellectually. Just be inspired. Embrace some positivity. She'll be for you. Approaching it deductively. Money and power and more mind with Coach T. Food for your mind, food for your body and soul.